Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast, a special Villa Park podcast and a special edition of Lions Den latest. We thought we'd jump on live slightly later than originally planned, but Crystal Palace against Nottingham Forest kind of got in the way, all the injury time, but we had to jump on and talk about Aston Villa under-18s FA Youth Cup success and fantastic win against Manchester City, 3-1 win. And to go through it with us is the man himself, the oracle of Aston Villa's academy team, Charlie, aka Academy AVFC. And what a proud day it must have been for you, mate.
Yeah, that title gets better every time you say about me. But yeah, no. I think I've mentioned before when I've been speaking to you when we've been doing these shows is that I get more nervous than I do with the first team because I feel like there's so much like a risk with these players and like how these little moments can impact their careers. So yeah, to come out of it with a really impressive performance and result and everything that went alongside it. Yeah, really happy coming away from a packed Villa Park and that was another aspect of that day that I really enjoyed.
Yeah. I mean, before we get into the game, and I kind of want to split it into maybe 2 or 3 different areas, talk about the kind of game and the goals, talk about 1 or 2 of the players' performances. I mean, we might talk about all of them, but ones you wanted to highlight. And then I guess also I think people maybe want to know who you maybe tip for big things, who you see kind of big things coming out, a big future maybe next season or the season after. So maybe split into 3 parts. But first of all, you were quite kind of big on social media, kind of pushing the crowd to get to the game. Villa did a good thing by making it £1 tickets, but I mean, I guess over 25,000 in attendance. I don't even know if you'd have even thought it'd have gone past that. That's just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I think first and foremost is that I know that this and whichever academy group of players it will be, love playing in front of crowds. They rarely get the opportunity to play in such of in front of such a sizable audience. So I know that they would have been eager to play in front of a big crowd at Villa Park. And then really pushing the home advantage aspect of things with that's the one sort of funny bit about the FA Youth Cup final is that there can be a bit of a home advantage. And yeah, I think that we really utilised everything available to us. It was brilliant to see so many young fans. I'm sure there will have been a lot of people at their first games today. I saw a lot of families there, and obviously the £1 tickets makes that a lot more accessible for people to watch this team and be introduced to some really brilliant talent and like we've said a couple of times already, a really impressive performance and one that they'll go away with maybe wanting to know a bit more about these players, wanting to see a bit more of them, and that's only a positive thing for the academy and selfishly a positive thing for me with my account.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I've seen so many people on X and social media saying, it was the first game for them and their children. And obviously you kind of forget that. It was a great opportunity for, parents to take their kids to their first experience of Aston Villa and to see that game and to see such young players displaying so much talent on the pitch. Obviously is great for the future Aston Villa fans coming through, not only the players, but the future Aston Villa fans.
Yeah. And again, I think that's where this kind of enchantment with academy football comes in. I've spoken about before how my passion for knowing about the academy came from these sorts of experiences when I was a kid, and that maybe sort of flashes a bulb in some of those kids' brains today, where they might develop a bit of a fascination with everything that's going on behind the first team, and again, that can only be a positive thing for people to want to know more and be interested and have this access to Villa Park at a time when we know access to the senior team is becoming more and more hard to come by.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. So, guys, we've got over 100, or nearly 150 actually in the chat, which is fantastic at sort of 10 o'clock on a Monday. I know it's bank, Thank you so much for your support. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and keep your comments flowing in. We'll get into loads of comments as they come through. I know loads of you in the chat, so thank you for your support. Let's get into the game. And I mean, I actually was doing something. I was like, I know it's on YouTube. I'll put it on in a second, and then doing a couple of bits when I in the house, and then flicked it on. I was like, it's bloody 1-1 already, and it was only about 8 minutes in. But yeah, I mean, it was a fast start, wasn't it?
Yeah, kind of a typical big game in academy football start. I thought both sides looked a little bit frenetic from the outset, and a small error from Sam Proctor allowing City to get their goal. And if I'm being honest, and we'll probably go on to speak about this more, the character and resilience of this team, I never really felt as though that goal was going to sort of knock them away from their game plan. And again, displaying that character and resilience with that immediate response. It was the very first possession after the goal that Villa went down the other end. Kopcha wins the corner, and it's a pinpoint delivery from Cole Brannigans and a bullet header from TJ Carroll to put everything back on level terms. And I don't think Villa really looked back from that point. I think they were the better team. Then across the 90 minutes, imposed themselves a bit more when they did have possession, and yeah, we'll go on to speak about their rewards thereafter.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, obviously talking about that first goal, it's extremely important to get back on level terms as soon as you've had a setback. And it's always one of those old cliches that a team is at the most vulnerable after they've scored, and it was obviously great for Villa to get back on level terms and from a set piece as well. And the set pieces were quite well worked all the way through the game. So I don't know whether Austin McPhee and his kind of little black book of set piece routines have been working their way to the youth team as well.
Yeah, I know the boys do work on them. I don't know how much of that is a sort of a learning from the first team and what they do, but increasingly now we see it within professional football, is that set pieces are an opportunity to be creative and explore different routes to goal. And I thought Villa were really clever with their set pieces today. City did have quite a big physical side, and so that's, like we've seen with the first team, that's an opportunity to be a bit more creative, find a different route into the box. And there were a couple of different little routines which I thought were really beneficial. Villa were causing problems from those set pieces.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was a pretty simple one that we scored from, pretty routine delivery into the box. I think their goalkeeper will probably look back at it with a bit of regret, maybe. I think the way the sort of middle of the box clears, you expect the keeper to maybe come and make a play for that. But yeah, once the ball reaches TJ Carroll, brilliant header and a really nice moment for TJ Carroll. I know
his family, a lot of his family were there. I think there were
a lot of his family that they're really vocal in their support for him, and for him to get that moment, his first goal at Villa Park, obviously the biggest match that he will have ever played in his career, with all of those family members there. I think they had a banner at one point saying something like, "We're watching you, TJ," or something like that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, really lovely moment. And again, that's one of the things that I really enjoy about these matches, is giving those players those core memories that even if they don't go on to have now a brilliant professional career, they can look back at and say, this was a really defining moment in something historic for the academy.
Yeah, definitely. Jay Kemp said he thought the set pieces were great too, and I believe it was from a cleared set piece, from a little bit of a set piece routine. That, I mean, what a goal, what a strike, and a goal that's worthy of grace in any game, let alone an FA Youth Cup final. Cole Brannigan, take a bow, son. What a strike it was. I think Aidan Borland put it into the box. It was cleared by a Man City head, and then he just ran onto the ball, left-footed on the volley. Absolute peach of a strike and into the top corner, and special goal.
Yeah, ridiculous. It's one of them where you kind of see it happen in slow motion. Like I was sat in the lower halt, and so the opposite end of the pitch from where the goal happened, and you see the ball fall out to him, and it's that classic cliche football fan moment where you're thinking to yourself, "Oh, we could ping this," and it wasn't really a ping. It's so hard to describe just how good it was. It was the perfect technique to execute exactly the type of finish that was required to find the top corner, and yeah, a ridiculous level of technical ability goes into that. The identification of the type of strike that's required, and I liked that in Jimmy Shan's post-match interview, he talks about how Cole needs to have a little bit more belief in himself because he can be this player for these moments, and so now knowing that in retrospect, really nice for him to get his goal. I think, again, I keep referring back to previous times we chatted, but I know Cole's family were there. I know Cole had a lot of people over from Ireland there today. I noticed a couple of them. Cole ran into the lower halt and spoke with, I don't know whether they were friends or family or whatever, but yeah, again, really nice for him to have his moment, and yeah, ridiculous goal. Well, again, it seems stupid to come back to saying this, but again, it's just one of those moments where he'll remember that for the rest of his career.
Absolutely.
And yeah, what a way to, I mean, we can say that won the game because City didn't score a second. So yeah, what a way to win a game of football.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. I mean, Michael says, beautiful goal. John, the belching guy, John McGinn would be proud of that goal. Rachel, so many pro players would be proud of that goal. It was a swaz, says Sai ABFC. Jay Kemp said, I was sat B6 and we all shouted shoot when it fell to him. Knew as soon as it left his foot, it was going in. Absolutely. And yeah, just a tremendous goal. It reminded me a little bit of Grealish's goal against Cardiff when we were in the Championship under Steve Bruce. You know, kind of header cleared out to the edge of the box, and then kind of that outside of the foot volley that goes into the corner. And I mean, it's some technique to do that. Like it's crazy. And like I say, even in a final, it's absolutely wonderful technique, and just to have the kind of the balls to do it, so to speak, in that situation, he just thought, right, this is going perfect, and yeah, fantastic goal. And like you said about the tactics, and we maybe get into with some of the performances. Villa kind of, yes, Man City had sort of possession and maybe a bit of territory, but the pace that Villa attacked with and the incisiveness of the passing, and then you factor that in with the kind of variety with the set pieces. It was a real combination that really hurt Man City.
Yeah, I really enjoyed how threatening Villa looked every time they had the ball. Really, it was quite direct, and again, I think we saw a clear game plan from Villa that they were going to utilise those attacking outlets. Brad Burrows, obviously, we know he's got an abundance of pace and a brilliant one-on-one ability. Mason Kocher looked really determined in his off-the-ball work. And we spoke about briefly his work to win the corner that we scored the equaliser from. So yeah, just really enjoyed how Villa executed a game plan. I often reference the professional way in which Villa go about these games, and it seems to have coincided with Jimmy Shan's appointment as their lead coach. And I think it looked like a professional team out there. It didn't look like an academy player. This looked like a team driven for a result, know how they're going to get the result, and able to execute and achieve that result. So yeah, really nice. I enjoyed some of the leadership skills on display. Aidan Borland obviously wears the captain's armband. Tristan Rowe, I think, is a really brilliant leader of this team as well. Constantly organising, sort of motivating the players alongside him. And George Hemmings, who's a little bit of a quieter figure, I think. I've read in some articles, and so yeah, nice. He's more of a leader by example. He sort of dictates things on the pitch and makes those critical moments. And so yeah, I think Villa's big players stood up. And I look back at City. City have some really, really hotly rated players in that team. Divine Makassa, their number 10. Finn Gorman, who was playing in midfield. These are players who were touted for really huge things, and I thought Villa came away probably winning that midfield battle, and I think that's where the game was decided.
Yeah, Sai obviously sums it up quite well. Direct, but with a purpose, not just hoofing it. So, and that's kind of, it was really good, really nice to see. And I guess that the crowning moment, the goal that sealed it, again, really, really nicely worked goal, and exactly as we said, that kind of, you know, in transition, as they like to call it, we broke with real purpose, and ball fell to Jimoh Alobah, and he cut inside the fullback and just couple of touches and then just arrowed it into the bottom corner. And yeah, he's a man for the big moments, isn't he? He's already made first team appearances this season, and yeah, he's got a big future, and great for him to score in front of the whole end as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where you want your players who have had that exposure to first team minutes to kind of stand up and be counted. And again, this is a really well worked goal. I think it's a beautiful bit of play to allow him the space. First of all, it's a nice pass through from Leon Ruth, and I don't know whether it's Fortes who just gets a little flick on it, but he dummies the pass, and yeah, Jimoh Alobah takes it on, and then displays everything that we've talked about so much with him. That real direct dribbling style. He's quick to get in at the defender. Makes that little space, and then it's a really well executed finish, actually, because the disguise is always that the keeper's expecting maybe a finish to the far post, and so to notice the space and again execute it so precisely really bodes well for the talent that Jamal holds, and yeah, what a brilliant moment for him to score in front of a packed Holt end.
Yeah.
And run over towards the fans and yeah, just take it all in and yeah, the game goes 3-1, and I never really felt uncomfortable after that.
No, it was you know, well managed, and I think Villa probably could have extended the lead, to be honest, more so than maybe Man City getting right back into it. I mean, some big blocks from Teddy. What's his last
Teddy
name?
Bloomfield.
Teddy Bloomfield. I mean, he's a character, isn't he? But he came on and he absolutely he saved a few, and he's definitely a wholehearted lad, isn't he? And he's
a throwback fullback, isn't he?
Yeah. He's funny, man.
That's kind of sort of Stuart Pearce mold where everything's on the line. And we've done that a couple of times. He did the same in the semi-final. He came on to replace Rodrigo Fortes after the legs got a little bit tired and sort of shore things up as we moved into extra time in that game. And there was a similar instance there where he made a crucial block. And so it's nice to see. And I think the same can be said of all of the back four and the replacements that came on. Obviously, we're talking about Teddy Bloomfield. Is that there seems to be a real passion for defending there, and I think that's a trait you love to see in defenders, is that you want to do the work that earns you victories, and it's quite cliche, but they talk about how title winning sides are built on defenses, not on attacks, and I think this Villa under 18 side really do champion that cliche.
Yeah, Yeah, 100%. It was a nice little cameo and a very important one as well. Guys, we have nearly 300 of you in the chat watching live on X and on YouTube. Please do hit the subscribe button if you are new to the channel. And please do hit the like button as well. Totally free to like. It does really help us spread the word of the channel. Obviously, follow us at Villa Park Pod or at Academy AVFC and share it on that platform as well, and keep your comments flowing in terms of today's victory. Fantastic stuff. Sai says Bloomfield is far better than Fortes defensively. Rachel said love Bloomfield's celebrations for his defensive actions. Yeah, it's funny seeing the defenders doing that now. But I guess going into, we've talked about the goals, which were brilliant, and obviously the way that we were so professional in terms of our performance to get the victory. But whose performances kind of really stood out for you? I know we've mentioned players that scored the goals, but yeah, in terms of your sort of top players, who kind of really stood out for you?
I was really impressed with Tristan Rowe, and mentioned him previously. I love the way he's kind of developed into this leader within this group. He's able to fulfill a couple of different roles. He's brilliant carrying the ball forward, but can also settle back into that more rigid back four. And I think really displayed everything, and the reason that he's going to be a key part of England's under-19 squad in this summer's European Championships, because he's brilliant. On another day, could have probably had an assist or two. There were a couple of moments where he picked up the ball in the opposition box, and from the information that I see about Tristan, that's probably the little bit of refinement that needs to come to sort of develop that final third play. But otherwise, what a brilliant performance! He's got that ability to break through in transition, off the cuff, and turn a defensive action into one where you're running at the final third, or running at the opposition defense, I should say. And yeah, I think he's going to be a brilliant player.
Good engine as well, hasn't he?
Yeah,
got a really good engine.
Yeah, played 120 minutes against United in the semi-final and didn't look worse the wear for it. Again, able to go 90 today. Aidan Borland and George Hemmings, I think, were really impressive in that midfield. I always come away from watching TJ Carroll and Leon Ruth very impressed. I think they for everything.
Someone in the chat said they remind him. Yeah, Jay Kemp said Ruth and Carroll remind me of Tyan Konza.
Yeah, I think, funnily enough, I was thinking this during the game about Leon Ruth, is that he's got that sort of that verve for defending that you see a little bit from Tyrone Mings, and obviously being left-footed and having the physical presence that he has on the pitch. It's an easy comparison to make. But yeah, I think the problems that Villa had in this game tended to come from a willingness to want to play out from the back. There were a couple of moments where they gave the possession away sillily, but in terms of their defensive actions, I thought I call it sort of scramble defending. Those moments where you give the ball away and then have to cover space very quickly. I thought Villa were excellent in those moments. TJ Carroll's sort of stall defending. There were a couple of times when City striker sort of created a bit of space for a shot, and he closed that down really nicely. There was a big tackle from Rodrigo Fortes when City broke. And again, not to keep on reiterating the same point, I really do see a passion for defending that I think is quite rare in academy football. And again, to come back to the appointment of Jimmy Sham, perhaps that's something that's been implemented and built upon as a result of his introduction to the club.
Yeah, definitely. Mr. Green says Leon loves wrestling with strikers. And Wayne Air VFC says Hemmings is the player that has impressed me the most. He's so good on the ball and just always seems to make the right decision. Very technically sound. I really enjoy watching him play. And I was like that with Hemmings today. I thought he he just grew into the game as it went on, and like he started off a little bit quiet, but then sort of read the game and sort of understood the situation in the game, and then just went through the gears, and same with Borland alongside him. But they really did sort of end up winning that midfield battle against 2 or 3 really highly rated players in that Man City midfield, and it was. Obviously, it doesn't take a genius to say you win the midfield battle and you win the game most of the time. So that was really important. But yeah, Hemmings has got a real touch of class about him.
Yeah, excellent player, and I think his or something that is really commendable about his play style is that he can do each of the 3 roles in midfield. He can be the 6, or he can be the box to box 8, or he's got the technical ability and the carrying ability to be a creative number 10. And so when you combine those 3 things together, you've got a midfielder who's all action, loves a tackle, not afraid to get involved in a bit of nitty gritty in midfield, but then able to sort of balance that with that decision making to play the right pass. There was a lovely dribble where he picks up the ball, sort of approaching City's final third. He takes on a couple of players and then slides it through for Brad Burrows, who fires a shot over. And I thought that was a really nice phase that sort of embodied what there is to like about George Hemmings. He's not only a duels man, but he's a dribbling man as well. He likes to go forward with that ball and progress it.
Yeah, definitely. And then sort of a word, we've talked about Jimoh Alobah with his goal, talked about Kocher with his hard work, and Brannigan with his wonderful goal. But those attacking players, Burrows was a constant threat. Alobah, we know in the moments and sort of that strength that he's got with carrying the ball, and Kocher with his hard work and always on the shoulder, and he nearly scored a great little goal where the keeper saved it. And as you say, Brannigan with his sort of classy touches and always in that little pocket they were excellent, weren't they? A threat at different times of the game.
Yeah, again, it rings to that same sentiment of sort of execution of a game plan. I think, again, one of the traits of this Villa team is that they pick their moments and know when to attack and identify that really well. I think just one impressive performance, I think, and that goes for all of the. I think there were 16 players that took to the field in the end. I think all of them did their job really excellently.
Yeah.
I think I was a bit conscious of Brad Burrows coming back from injury. How long was he going to be able to play? That engine didn't falter throughout the game. I think he got subbed off after 85, 86 minutes. And he was tirelessly pressing, but also chasing those hopeless balls and putting the defenders under pressure and being a real nuisance for them. I can only seem to recall maybe 3 or 4 times that he got the ball sort of running at the winger, but it felt like every time it led to something, whether that be a cross that gets blocked for a corner, or he managed to get a couple of shots away in the first half. Mason Kocher didn't really feature so heavily in the play today, but again, his off-ball stuff is something that can really make a difference to a team. And again, you've got his energy and his pressing is what allows your moments players, your Jimoh Alobahs, your Cole Brannigan, or whoever else to be the one to impact the game. And you've got to have a selfless striker in order to facilitate that.
Yeah, definitely. Rachel said this game and win will help Villa's academy and the boys for theirs. Jimmy and Mark have been superb for them. And James says the whole club can be proud of the lad. The lads did well. And Sai says, Can you apologise to Charlie for Sai, as he's always asking him about stream scores and injuries, etc. I'm sure you don't mind that, do you?
No, that's what I'm there for.
Yeah, exactly.
If the club do it, I will.
Exactly. And we just had to put this picture up for you, mate. There they are, lifting the cup, and fantastic reward for them. And I mean, what a season it's been for them, and for you covering them, and it's still not over yet. They can clinch the league and cup double this season with this week with 2 games to go for them.
Yeah, on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, what a season it's been for them. Obviously a mix of ages playing the UEFA Youth League. They've got far in the Birmingham Senior Cup. They've won the FA Youth Cup. They're doing really well in the under 18s Premier League. I mean, what an experience for some of these lads. Well, for all of the lads, it's incredible, isn't it?
And I think actually just to sort of cotton on to what you were saying there is that it's been different players at different times. It's been some of the under 16s boys who have come into the under 18s and sort of kept the momentum going in the domestic league. So if you're thinking about Jack McGrath or Marky Meads popped up with important assists, and players who have like I say, kept that momentum going at important times. I don't want to count my chickens, but I'm expecting Villa to wrap up the title on Thursday. They've got a game against Leicester where a win would secure the under 18 Premier League South title. Failing that, there's another game to come against Arsenal on Sunday, which is another opportunity to wrap things up if it's not already done by them. So again, yeah, it's testament to the wealth of talent that's and the wealth of work actually that goes into procuring that talent, whether that be we've seen quite a bit in this Youth Cup winning side that a lot of players are coming in from other clubs. But lower down in those age groups, that happens less and less. And so, it's testament to the work that's going on that we don't see. And thinking about your players like your Jack McGraths and your Marky Meads or Junior Wilson or whoever else who are going to go on to become more prominent in future seasons, how brilliant it is for them to look back at this season and know that they've impacted something that's again going to go down in the history of the academy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely fantastic. Guys, please smash the like and hit the subscribe button. Approaching 400 of you watching tonight, which is absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for your support. We love having Charlie on, and we've done this all season. The Lions Den latest shows, he's kept us up to date with all of the news from the academy, and it's been an incredible season, as you've just said there, with all the experiences that the players have had, and some of them have made first team appearances as well, which has been fantastic. So just moving on to sort of and we'll get some questions in as well from people. Actually, I do want to come to one before we kind of talk about some players that you want to sort of pick out for big futures. Mr. Green says, do you think Unai was watching? I know there was John McGinn, I think, and obviously Morgan Rogers and Jacob Ramsey went onto the pitch to congratulate the boys. But do you think Unai was watching? And how much of Unai's and the way that the first team play, I think I might have asked you this before, translates to how the under 18s play?
So I don't know. Is the honest answer about Unai Emery watching? If he wasn't watching, he'll definitely have staff there who will be there to feed things back to him about the players, and undoubtedly they will know the players who they're sort of tipping to go on to play a big part in the first team squad. I think actually the best way to answer this question is by a sentiment that Jimmy Shan gave in his preview for the Youth Cup final, where he speaks about how they sort of take bits from what the first team are doing and try and implement that. It's not an enforced style of play. It's not a case of you have to play in a certain way in order to make players develop. There's a bit more freedom. But what they do, or what Jimmy Shan said they do, is that they try and pick those things up. So, and obviously the sort of profile of player that Villa have at this level actually lends itself to a similar style of play that Villa's senior squad employ, because you have that sort of lopsided back four where one of the fullbacks has a bit more freedom to roam. We saw that today with Rodrigo Fortes, who has been an attacker throughout his development and only recently became a fullback. and obviously you can see his attacking skills when he plays. So yeah, I think it's a bit more nuanced actually than I think people would expect. I think people maybe expect it to be a little bit more stringent, a little bit more structured in terms of
exactly like the first team, and
exactly like the first team. We're
Yeah.
going to do things exactly the same way. We're going to try and develop a player to be this particular role within our first team across a number of years so that they're ready. But it actually gave me a bit of pleasure to hear Jimmy Chan say that it's maybe not like that, because I think at this level there still needs to be an element of allowing a player to develop certain aspects of their game. There needs to be an element of freedom in order for them to express themselves, but obviously tapered with the expectation and the clear message of hard work that they get through to these players, that in order to make it as a professional footballer, there needs to be a dedicated and a high level of work in order to get through that barrier.
Yeah, 100%. It's good because they got to show that little bit of personality and yeah, like have that bit of individualism while having maybe the framework of what goes on within the sort of structure of the club. But yeah, it's really good. So yeah, just I guess I think he did maybe an article for actually friend of the pod, Tom Colomossi with the Mail Sport, and you talked about maybe some of the players that you've identified that you think have sort of big futures with the first team. So yeah, maybe share some of that with us. Who do you think? Because this might be for quite a few of them the biggest moment that they have in their careers, which is absolutely phenomenal to say that, to win an FA Youth Cup. But yeah, who do you see as kind of having a real big future in the game?
So yeah, just to mention actually that article with Tom Colomossi, I didn't have a huge input on that. I think he just sort of reached out to me and asked me to provide a little bit more information about a certain number of players that he wanted to sort of profile. So yeah, I think the players that I have high hopes for, I think I'm really liking the way George Hemmings is developing. And if we're talking about players who are going to be applicable or sort of ready to play senior football, I really like the way George Hemmings is developing. He's got that physical ability tempered with the technical stuff, the ability to carry the ball, and like we spoke about previously, that ability to get stuck in and do the hard yards that go unseen in teams, and yeah, really developing nicely. Obviously, we know he's youth capped at international level, so again, someone who England have identified as someone to sort of follow. I think he's a great one to watch. Tristan Rowe, again, we spoke about him quite a lot in this podcast, but yeah, just lots of attributes that will serve him well in senior football. I think unless integration into the first team is a possibility, I think we might see Tristan Rowe a little bit over pre-season, hopefully. But I think we could probably be talking about a loan for him next season unless that integration becomes a possibility. I think the same could be said of probably Mason Kocher. I think he's got that knack of scoring goals and that knack of providing important moments in very few opportunities. So again, it will be interesting to see how that develops into next season. I think I like the way he's shaping up for senior football, and I think there could be an opportunity for him to play some stuff on loan. And yeah, to come back to probably the star performer today, Cole Brannigan. The thing that really impresses me with Cole is that more and more this opportunity to become a big player reduces itself to, are they going to be physically compatible with Premier League football?
Yes.
And if you ask that question about Cole, I don't think he's going to be. Obviously, he's still going to grow, and there's still a lot of gym work and things that he can do. But what impresses me about him is that even taking that into account, he's still able to impact these games without having to fall back on muscling off a defender or whatever else. He's able to provide these moments, whether it be the quality delivery from a set piece or a ridiculous half volley from 25 yards. Or thinking back to previous rounds, the goals that have come against Plymouth. Cole's also picked up a really big number of goals that have decided matches in the under-18 Premier League, and again, that's a really nice trait to have. The easy comparison to make with the way that he plays is with someone like Cole Palmer, who again I think falls into under that same category of that he relies less and less on his physical attributes and more on his technical attributes, and so I know Cole Brannigan is a big fan of Cole Palmer. Obviously, he does the Cole celebration.
Yeah.
I think I see him share a
Sorry,
lot of stuff
it's
about.
not the Cole Palmer celebration. It's
no.
the Morgan Rogers celebration.
The only reason I say that is because he shares a lot of stuff on his Instagram about him. And so I think it comes more from Cole Palmer than it does Morgan Rogers.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's clearly someone who wants to develop in that same mold, and the way we're seeing him impact games consistently is a real positive. And I think we'll see him move up into the under-21s probably next season. We'll see him be a little bit more continuous in that Premier League 2 squad. And so it'll be nice to see how he develops and how he continues to manage that task of coming up against maybe more physical tests than what he's being presented with at the moment.
Yeah. No, it's interesting, and many times a player, this is so difficult to tell, and there's still so much growing, there's so much maturing, there's so many other obstacles that might get in the way, and so many times it's the players that you least expect it to that all of a sudden kind of have a big growth spurt or really kick on or something like that. You think, well, they weren't the ones who I'd expected to make it, and it could be a stroke of luck that all of a sudden there's an injury crisis and they have to call on the player from the youth team to come into the first team and kind of show what they can do. So there's so many variables, isn't there? But the way that Villa have recruited and the way that they've set up this youth academy, and whether it is at Aston Villa or whether it is at other clubs, they've got it all set up so well to generate money for the club, to continue to bring in the best talent from across the world, and also to give the players the best opportunity to make a career for themselves, whether that's at Villa or elsewhere.
Yeah, and we've spoken about it numerous times whenever we've had these discussions around futures of players and who's going to make it. And Jimmy Shannon, again, I keep on referencing his post-match interview, but he alluded to that in his assessment of sort of the occasion and what this means for these players, because we don't actually want this to be the best moment of their careers. We want to continue for them to grow, and we want them to have more experiences in professional careers. We want them to have good professional careers. And so while this is a really good moment to recognise what they've achieved so far, this isn't the destination. This is a stop, and the work continues day to day. He mentioned how some of the players were already talking about how they need to be ready for Thursday, which is the next league match. And again, it's that sort of mental aspect of how you cope with games and the attitude that you approach your career with that can sometimes provide that extra cutting edge and be the difference between someone who maybe plays in non-league and someone who plays in League One, League Two, which is a really respectable level to play at.
Yeah. Well, look, I think they've done themselves so proud today, and their family's proud, and they've got wonderful memories to look back on. And like you say, hopefully this isn't the lasting or the best memory that they have. I'm sure they'll be going on to bigger and better things. And looking at that, I don't know if you can spot yourself in the Holt End with the lads.
I'm just out. I'm just out of shot there.
not a Where's Wally page. But yeah, just final question from me to you, mate, is just how much have you enjoyed this season, and reflecting on the work that you've done this year to kind of cover the youth team and the youth academy. I know there's a little bit to go, but yeah, what has it been like for you this year?
Honestly, it feels like a lot of the same. I was actually reflecting on this a little bit earlier. I had a look, and it's coming up to 5 years since I created the account, which feels like it's gone by so quickly, and it feels like every season it's just repetition of games that come and go really quickly. And so it's hard. I'll probably reflect on it a little bit more once the season has finished. There's still a few things to go, but I think the bit that I've probably enjoyed the most about this season is seeing the players take on these different tests, whether that be playing in Europe in the UEFA Youth League and the different styles of football that they're met with there.
I forgot about the EFL trophy as well. Like
EFL trophy, another brilliant. Yeah, it feels like so long ago that we were talking about that. The Birmingham Senior Cup. There was a freezing night at Sutton Coldfield where I watched them play. And again, these little moments that you sort of dot throughout the season where you look back on and actually look back and you had a really, really nice time watching this team. More and more, though, the bit that I enjoy is seeing these players have really great experiences, like being there in Leipzig for that UEFA Youth League last minute turnaround that got them qualification through to the next round, being there in Budapest or just outside Budapest, I should say, being there in Hungary for the Puskás Academia game. That's the bit that I enjoy, is the more and more these perform, the more and more opportunities there are to cover games that are really exciting to cover, like today, like the potential of winning the league title. We've not had a great season in Premier League 2. Obviously, we finished bottom of the table there, but those under-21s have still had a really exciting season where they've played a number of games that are again, really brilliant to cover. It's probably a worthwhile time actually to mention the slight change that's coming up in Premier League broadcast regulations, right, whereby next season we should have access to every home Villa match, because there will be no restrictions on teams broadcasting matches when there's a Premier League match on at the same time. So again, the opportunity to see these players grows. And so, looking forward to being able to ramp up the coverage and provide more. So, really exciting. And again, just really enjoy being able to speak about some of the joyful things that are going on that maybe don't get the coverage they otherwise deserve.
Yeah, absolutely. So, will it be for free then? Will it be? Was that?
I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if Villa revert back to charging for things. I think they only bought back Villa TV for free this season with a season ticket. And so it wouldn't surprise me if they go back to a paid model, because I'd expect there's more work involved in having to broadcast every other week. We'll see how that develops, but I'm not holding out much hope that we're going to get something nice from the club.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Right, mate. I mean, fantastic day, and brilliant performance from each and every one of the lads who played today. They all did themselves proud, and it was a really professional performance. And Man City, I think, won 25 games in a row, and then facing up to Aston Villa, it was just a brilliant performance. So well done to you all. If you're watching, I know some of you lads watch this, and hopefully this is the start of something special for you. Charlie, it's been amazing this season for us on the channel covering the youth team. I thought when we started these shows, we'd just be kind of rounding up the under-18s league and that, and we've talked about EFL Trophy, we've talked about UEFA Youth League, we've gone all the way in the FA Youth Cup. So it's been an amazing season, and we never know, we might even come back for the crowning of the under-18s Premier League. So maybe it's not finished yet, and then we'll be back in the summer kind of profiling some of the lads moving their way through, maybe if they do get into the first team squad. So yeah, brilliant for having you on, Charlie. It's amazing stuff that you do for the club and for social media, for everyone keeping updated. So well done to you, mate. Hit the like button, everyone. Hit the subscribe button. Over 400 of you in the chat, which is just amazing stuff. So thank you all for your support. We'll be back with Transfer Talk Roundup show for the first team. We'll also be back with a Fans Forum special tomorrow, hopefully with a couple of special guests as well, talking about the run-in, talking about various other things to do with the club, and then obviously preview for the big game against Bournemouth. We must win that game. It's a must-win game. So we'll be back with all of your usual shows this week. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on your way out. Thank you all for watching. And as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa.